"I like to look at this picture," murmured Rogozin after a silence. "This picture," exclaimed Prince Mishkin. "It is the picture that may lead one to the loss of faith." Through these words of the characters of his novel *The Idiot*, Fyodor Mikhailovich Dostoevsky rendered his impression of the canvas of the German painter Hans Holbein the Younger, Dead Christ in the Tomb. One of the masters of the Northern Renaissance, the son of the outstanding painter Holbein the Senior, became famous for his realistic portraits. He painted the English royal family members, courtiers, and merchants. We are obliged to the intent, almost photographic look of Holbein for giving us an idea of the people who used to live in the 16th century during the time of the English king, Henry VIII. The artist depicted his contemporaries in luxurious garments, thoroughly painting the texture of the fabrics and the shimmer of jewelry. Besides such festive portraits, the extremely laconic picture, Dead Christ in the Tomb, looks very odd. Everything is puzzling: the unusually oblong form, the purpose of the picture, and the interpretation of the image of Christ. The plot of the Christ in the Tomb had been developed by many a painter, but none of them depicted the dead Christ so naturally. It was customary for medieval painters to have dead men as models for painting Christ in the coffin. There is a legend that Holbein, a loyal follower of the tradition, had drowned a man as a model for painting Christ. The name of this poor man remained unknown. The only thing known was that he had drowned in the rain. But this is the last point where the painter remained loyal to the tradition. He destroyed all the principles of the iconographic scheme. That is why the picture Dead Christ in the Tomb provoked a strong non-acceptance on the part of the artist's contemporaries. Why? Let's try to find the reasons. Christ is not depicted as on the cross or at the moment of his being removed from it. He is depicted as lying in a prolonged rectangular niche. His face is ugly and horrible. His mouth is half open. His big eyes are flashing with deadly mortal glassy gleam. His hands and feet turn blue, and there we can see the traces of the wounds. It looks as if it is not the body of the God's Son, but a corpse of an ordinary man who had suffered terribly before death. He had suffered the beat and insult. He had lugged heavy logs on his shoulders, accompanied by the malicious shouting, and he had been dying long and painfully on the cross from pain and thirst. To emphasize the perception, Holbein resorted to a special device. His depiction goes behind the limits of the foreground of the picture. Christ's right hand and hair are painted in this manner. This way of painting, in combination with the strange, greenish, glaring background, produces an unforgettable impression. There is one more oddity about one of the most famous pictures of Holbein. The painter depicted not just the dead Christ. He painted Jesus so lonely in his death, there is no one beside him, neither his disciples nor his relatives. And here is another interesting observation. It turns out that the perception of the picture depends on the angle you look at it from. If you look upward at the painting, the eye seems dead still, and the curved shoulder, neck, and the crooked arm disfigured, as if Christ is inflicted with tortures even after death. The visitors of the Basel Museum nowadays can view the picture just the way that Holbein most probably had in mind in the 16th century. The picture is displayed at a level that is on par with the eye level of the grown-up person. But when one looks at the picture straight, the impression is quite different. The body of Christ looks not overworn, but incredibly tense, and the agonizing head turn is perceived as a movement. as the beginning of the turn and the rise being made with incredible effort, as an aspiration to win death itself. According to some art critics, the painter wanted to make the picture, the dead Christ in the tomb, part of the altar composition. Beside or above it, there should have been another picture, glorifying Jesus' resurrection. Dostoevsky may have comprehended the idea of Holbein. The picture, The Dead Christ in the Tomb, is considered to have inspired the Russian writer to create his novel, The Idiot. We are not aware what Hans Holbein had exactly meant by this picture, whether he wanted the onlookers to be horrified. We'll take a risk to suppose that the genius portrait painter and the intellectual artist, Hans Holbein, the younger, through his picture, The Dead Christ in the Tomb, wanted to convey us the idea that even such a terrible death can be overcome by the ardent faith.